let's assess the state of some of the programs. I'm going to put a program on the table and we'll just go around and you give your impression of the state of that program right now. How's the team
Let's
doing
do it.
this year and your overall impression of the direction of the program. Let's start off with the Temple Owls since I watched them late last night. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, yeah, I was watching them late last night too. I mean, the state of the Owls last night changed in the last 30 seconds of that game. I mean, that's how close things are for being able to get a bid. That's how close they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're right on the bubble, losing games like Missouri and Miami really hurt you in March. It really puts a bigger onus on them. So I see them as a very, a strong defensive team, although they didn't get right out of the gate defensively last night, but strong defensive team, an energetic team at both ends, setting the pace often. They don't have that Shiz Alston, and I've written this, that when the game needs calming down and you want the ball just in somebody's hands, they don't have a Shiz this year. And I think with Shiz, a Shiz type, they could have gotten through those games. But they don't have that. So they're close, they're building, good start for Aaron. I don't know. I've yet to meet the person in the city who's not rooting for Aaron and thinks there can be energy in that program and get players in. So the arrow is up in terms of the energy of the program. But as far as where they are this time from last year to this year, you can't even, they beat Missouri on the road last year and they lost them at home this year. So we can't quite go there because of those two losses, even though the Maryland game showed potential. And I'll say this, Quentin Rose was waiting to see if he could calm his game down, and he has done it as a senior. Could he play like a senior? He's playing like a senior. So, I thought the world was wrong, and I think the coaches of the league were wrong picking Temple 7th in the league. They were better than that. They've shown they're better than that. They're going to come in better than 7th. So, that's, again, a couple free throws go in last night, and they get away from Miami, and it would be a little bit of a different assessment.
Yeah, I would say, last night's game was really a tough loss. That's a game that, I thought they really had a real shot at winning. They go up by one, and unfortunately Nate missed the one-on-one, and then the foul. Foul. That was just a really tough loss. And Nate's a great player. I mean, one of the best defenders, I've seen, all season, and it's done a great job. I think the Temple program, is in real good shape with Aaron. I think Aaron's doing a really, really good job. They have 3 losses. They're 7-3. If they get 20 wins, I think they're in really good shape for a bid for the NCAA tournament.
Americans, what, a 3-4 bid league?
Yeah, at least, it's a really...
It's hard to say on bids by league. They don't do it that way. They truly don't.
But just generally...
They're going to have to...
I think
they're going to have to beat Villanova and come in the top 3 in the league, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think they could do that. Like,
Which they can do that, by the way.
Right. Well, you mentioned the early season prediction of 7th. I thought that was awfully low for Temple, and here's why: because they went to the tournament last year and they had several returning players. You mentioned Quentin Rose, Nate Pierre-Louis, Alani Moore played on that team, and I thought that there was enough veteran players back that actually they deserved a higher ranking, in the preseason, but. That's why they play the games, and that's on paper. But, they played 10 games so far. They're 7-3. I thought the 3 games they lost, they were right there, everyone. And in the Missouri game, that was tough because they beat them last year. And actually, that game got away from them. They had like a 6-point lead against Missouri. And, for some reason, I think, they had a few turnovers. I think shot selection, got away from them a little bit. They didn't get the kind of shots that I think they normally would get, particularly, on the wings and that sort of thing. And
Maryland, one clunker they've thrown in.
Yeah. And Maryland, they played really well against them. That's their other loss. I thought that they were right there. Maryland's a nationally ranked team. They were nationally ranked coming into the preseason, and that was a very accurate assessment of them. And they got a good coaching staff down there, a really good program. They're going to have a really good year in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's really tough. So, but I think Temple, once they get in the conference play, is going to be really interesting. And I think that they start out on the road, I believe, in conference play in January. But I think if they get off to a really good start and sustain some kind of momentum, they got a shot.
Aaron has really imposed his character, his identity on the team rather quickly.
Yeah.
In terms of Mike mentioned how hard they play defensively.
They do
I mean,
play
it's you get the sense that if you miss an assignment,
Yeah.
you really don't want to be with Aaron after the game and have to deal with that. Let's move on. Let's go real.